My name is Bertha McConnell, and I'm 28 years old. If there's one thing I've learned growing up in my family, it's this. Some people are born into a spotlight, and some are born to hold it up for others. I was the second kind. Ever since childhood, my parents treated my younger sister, Olivia, like she was carved from glass and moonlight. Everything she wanted magically materialized. The perfect summer dress, the bigger slice of cake, the later curfew. Meanwhile, I was the strong one, the mature one, the one expected to handle disappointment with grace because I was better at coping. But years of swallowing my feelings didn't make me strong. It just made me invisible. By the time I turned 20, I couldn't take being the family's emotional pack mule anymore. So I moved out. Tiny studio, 2 bus rides from campus, leaky ceiling. But it was mine. I worked nights as a barista, studied during the day, and taught myself how to celebrate victories no one else noticed. No proud parents. No, look how far she's come. Just me. Maybe that's why when Maxwell entered my life, I didn't trust it at first. Max, my boyfriend, now fiancé, felt like something out of a life I was never meant to have. We met in my second year of university, but didn't start dating until months later. He was gentle where I was guarded, patient where I was brittle, devoted in a way that didn't feel real. I kept waiting for him to see me the way my family did, like an afterthought. But he never did. Even on my worst days, he saw something worth loving, something worth choosing. And eventually, I started believing he meant it. Max proposed the day I finished my master's degree. I thought we were just celebrating with friends. Cheap champagne, paper plates, the whole finally done vibe. Until one friend said we should go around the table and say one thing we appreciated about each other. Cute, I thought, innocent. But then Max stood up, voice shaking, not from nerves, but from trying not to smile too hard. And he started talking about us, about the first moment he realized he loved me, about how my determination inspired him, about how he wanted to build a life with me. Messy, complicated, honest. Then he dropped to one knee. In the middle of my friends screaming and clapping and crying, he asked me to marry him. The whole room disappeared. It was just Max, trembling slightly, holding out the ring like it was something sacred. Of course I said yes, but I didn't tell my family. Not immediately. I just wasn't ready. They didn't even know I was in a relationship, and I wasn't sure they'd care. Or worse, they'd pretend to care. But Max nudged me. We should tell them, Bertha. They're still your family. So one weekend, we went. My parents' house didn't change much in the years I'd been gone. Same doormat, same echo in the hallway, same framed photos of Olivia's achievements dominating the living room wall like a shrine. Olivia wasn't home when we first arrived. My mom fluttered, asking Max 100 polite questions like she was interviewing him for a position he didn't apply for. My dad nodded along, grunting the occasional, but mostly silent, his specialty. Then Olivia breezed through the front door. She froze when she saw Max, not just paused, froze. Like she needed a full second to process what she was looking at. Her expression shifted instantly. Curiosity, admiration, possession. It was subtle, but it struck something cold and instinctive inside me. Wow, she said, coming closer, brushing her hair back in that calculated way she does when she wants attention. You didn't tell us you were seeing someone, Bertie. I hated the nickname. She knew that. Max introduced himself, shaking her hand politely, and Olivia held onto his hand just a second too long. Her smile stretched just a bit too wide. Her eyes sparkled a little too brightly. And my mother? She didn't say a word. The rest of the visit was a blur of Olivia leaning forward too much, laughing too loudly, interrupting deliberately. She complimented Max's watch, his shirt, his cologne. At one point, she slid into the seat beside him, even though the couch had plenty of space. Max kept gently migrating closer to me, but Olivia treated it like some playful game of musical chairs. I tried to hide my frustration, but it simmered under my skin like a slow burn. By the time we left, my jaw ached from clenching. A few weeks later, Max and I went out for dinner. I noticed he was quieter than usual. Soft edges, thoughtful eyes. When Max got quiet, it usually meant something heavy was sitting on him. Finally, halfway to the restaurant, I asked, "Max, what's going on?" He took a breath. "Promise you won't get upset?" "That's never a good start." "Just say it," I told him. He looked at me with this pained expression I'd only seen once before, when he thought he'd lost his mother. "Olivia's been messaging me," he said quietly. "A lot." I felt something inside me punch my lungs from the inside. He kept going. "She found my Instagram, then my personal number. She's been persistent. Persistent? My voice cracked. She told me to leave you, he said, that she'd be a better match, that I'd be happier with her. The restaurant lights blurred for a second. My heartbeat rang in my ears. I wasn't angry at Max. He looked shaken, like he'd been debating for days whether to tell me. I was angry at Olivia, angry at my mother, angry at every memory where I stood second to my sister because it was convenient. I couldn't even confront Olivia over the phone. I needed to look her in the eye. I'm going to my parents' house tomorrow, I said. Max nodded, relief washing over him. I didn't sleep much that night. Too many thoughts, too many old wounds, too many moments where Olivia got something because she wanted it. Anything. While I swallowed what I wanted because it wasn't worth the fight. Not this time. Tomorrow we were going to talk. All of us. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't going to let anyone talk over me. I arrived at my parents' house at noon sharp the next day. The drive there felt unreal, like I'd slipped into some alternate version of myself, one who was finally done being quiet, finally done being the reasonable one. My hands gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles went white. For years, I'd convinced myself that the imbalance in my family was tolerable, that acceptance was easier than conflict. But the moment Max told me about Olivia's messages, it felt like a switch flipped. This wasn't just favoritism anymore. This was a theft attempt on my life, my happiness, my future. My mom opened the door before I even knocked, like she'd been waiting. "Oh, good, you're here," she said brightly, her voice too cheerful for someone who had no idea why I was coming. "I was hoping to talk today. There's something important we need to discuss as a family." There was that familiar twist in my stomach, that motherly tone that always preceded something absurd. I stepped inside. My dad sat stiffly on the armchair, posture rigid like he'd been placed there and told to stay. Olivia was perched on the couch, her legs tucked to the side, wearing a soft pink sweater and wide, watery eyes, like she'd been rehearsing this exact pose. I took a long breath, tasting the tension in the air. "Good," I said quietly. "I have something to talk about, too." I started with the basics. How Olivia had been flirting, the way she was messaging Max, how she told him he should leave me for her. I expected denial, maybe outrage, maybe my family telling her she'd crossed a line. What I didn't expect was my mother's response. She folded her hands neatly in her lap, breathing in deeply like she was about to deliver news from a doctor. "Sweetheart," she said with unnatural calm, "that's actually what we wanted to talk to you about." My heart fell into my stomach. "What?" I whispered. She exchanged a glance with my dad, who stared down at the carpet like he wished he could disappear. Then she said it. "Your sister has fallen in love with Maxwell. Deeply. Ever since the moment she met him." Olivia let out a tiny whimper. Scripted, delicate, manipulative, fake, fake, fake. I felt my jaw clench so hard it hurt. My mom leaned forward, her voice softening into that infuriating tone she always used when she was about to ask something unreasonable. "And we think it would be best if you stepped aside." I blinked. "Stepped aside?" I repeated, incredulous. "For Olivia," she continued, her eyes shining with this twisted sincerity. "Just consider breaking things off. Let her have a chance." Break things off? With my fiancé, whom I'd been with for 5 years, whose proposal ring was still warm on my finger. My world tilted sideways. "You're asking me," I said slowly, "to end my engagement so Olivia can date my fiancé?" A tear rolled dramatically down Olivia's cheek. She didn't even wipe it, just let it glisten. "He understands me," she whispered. "You've always had everything, Bertha. I've never had someone like him." A laugh escaped me. Short, sharp, almost hysterical. "I've always had everything. You have got to be kidding." My mother's expression hardened. "Stop making this about jealousy," she snapped. "Your sister's feelings matter too." I stared at her, stunned. "For once in your life, could you acknowledge that mine matter as well?" She ignored the question. Instead, she tilted her chin toward me and said, "If you choose not to do this, we won't attend your wedding." A clean cut, no hesitation. My father remained silent, always the shadow following my mother's lead. He didn't look at me once. Years of being overlooked, undervalued, pushed aside, all compressed into that moment. I felt something inside me finally crack. "You're unbelievable," I said. "I can't even believe this is real. You're asking me to hand over my fiancé like he's a spare jacket." My mother scoffed. "This is why Olivia always comes first. You're selfish. You don't think about how she feels." "I'm selfish," I repeated, dizzy with disbelief, "for choosing the man I love, for not giving him to someone else because she wants him?" Olivia let out another shaky sob, burying her face in her hands. I had no more words. I wasn't being dramatic. I wasn't being emotional. I just shut down. Something inside me went permanently cold. I stood up. You know what? If you don't come to my wedding, that's on you. But I'm not ending anything with Max. My mother crossed her arms. Then don't expect us there. My dad finally spoke, barely audible. Maybe we can work something out. But my mom cut him off with a sharp look. He shrank back into silence. And that was it. I walked out with my heart shaking and my throat tight. I made it to my car before the tears came. Hot, angry, disbelieving tears that blurred the windshield and soaked my sleeves. I drove home sobbing the entire way, asking myself over and over, how could they do this to me? Do they really think so little of me? Would they have asked Olivia to do the same for me? No, they wouldn't have. And that was the answer that hurt the most. When I told Max everything, he froze, pure disbelief on his face. Bertha, they said what? I nodded, exhausted, humiliated, heartsick. They won't come to the wedding, I whispered, unless I break up with you. Max took my hands gently, grounding me. That's insane. Your mother is trying to trade you like you're interchangeable. I swallowed hard. I'm sorry. I'm embarrassed. I hate that this is even happening, that you're caught in the middle because of me. Hey, he said, pulling me close. Don't you dare apologize. I love you. I'm not going anywhere, and your family's decisions don't define you. For the first time all day, I breathed. Later that night, I pulled out the wedding invitations. One for my mom, one for my dad, one for Olivia. I addressed them calmly, quietly. One last olive branch, one last chance for them to choose me. I slipped each into the mailbox and whispered to myself, if they don't walk through this door, I'm closing it for good. The morning of my wedding felt unreal. Not magical, not cinematic, not even peaceful. Just suspended, like the world held its breath with me. I woke up before the sun, staring at the ceiling of the small cabin I rented for the bridal party. My chest felt tight, not from nerves about marrying Max. I'd never been more certain about anything, but from the quiet dread I'd been carrying for weeks. Would my family show up? Would they walk in at the last minute, whispering excuses, pretending yesterday never happened? Would they pretend to be supportive for appearance's sake? Or would their absence become the final confirmation of everything I already knew? I didn't tell my bridesmaids any of this. They laughed, fixed my hair, touched up my makeup. They told me I looked radiant, and I tried, really tried, to believe that nothing could dim this day. But some wounds ache even when covered in silk. The venue was a small garden surrounded by tall oak trees, the kind of place where the wind almost sounded like it whispered blessings. Soft music floated in the air. Guests arrived in clusters, hugging, buzzing with excitement. I stepped behind a column, hidden from view. My heartbeat thudded louder with every minute that passed. I watched the entrance like it held fate itself. 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10. Every time a figure appeared, my breath hitched. But it was never them. My mother didn't walk in wearing her lilac dress. My father didn't shuffle quietly beside her. Olivia didn't hover behind them, pretending innocence. Nothing. Just emptiness, cold and clear. My bridesmaid Lena noticed my stiff posture. Hey, you okay? I'm fine, I lied. Except my lips trembled, my hands shook, and my throat felt too tight to swallow. Mac's mother approached me next. Warm eyes, soft smile. That gentle, reassuring presence I'd grown to love over the years. She touched my arm. Sweetheart, whatever happens, today is yours, and we're here for you. Her words cracked something inside me, the part still clinging to hope. I nodded, forcing a smile, and walked toward the aisle entrance, bouquet trembling in my hands. The music began. Everyone stood. Everyone, except the 3 empty chairs near the front. Reserved seats, reserved for people who chose not to come. My vision blurred for a moment, not from sadness, but from clarity. Their absence wasn't surprising. It was confirmation, and it hurt in a way I can't put into words. But then, I saw him. Max stood at the altar, straightening his shoulders the moment our eyes met. His face softened with relief and awe, his expression saying everything without speaking. I'm here. I choose you. You're safe with me. My steps became steadier. The guests disappeared. The whispers quieted. The empty chairs faded into the background. It was just us. When I reached him, Max's hand closed around mine, firm and grounding. You look beautiful, he whispered. And just like that, the world stitched itself together again. The ceremony was simple, elegant, warm. Each vow felt like stitching a wound with gold thread, transforming pain into something purposeful. When Max spoke his vows, his voice trembled only once, saying, I will never let you stand alone, not in joy, not in grief, not in the empty places left by those who didn't choose you. I choose you, Bertha. Always. My breath shook as I answered, and I choose you. When we kissed, the guests erupted into applause. It wasn't grand. It wasn't extravagant. But it was real. The love in that moment filled every hollow space my family had carved into me. Later, at the reception, I found myself scanning the crowd again. Automatic, habitual. Still no sign of them. I exhaled slowly. This time, it didn't crumble me. It clarified me. Max's family pulled me into their circle, offering hugs, toasts, inside jokes. His father danced with me. His mother cried during our first dance. His siblings called me our new sister. And for the first time, I didn't feel like an outsider stepping into someone else's family. I felt chosen. Not by obligation, not by default, but by love. That night, after the last guest left and Max and I collapsed into our honeymoon suite, I finally let the truth settle. My family didn't lose me today. They gave me away long ago. I just finally stopped fighting for people who refused to show up. Max wrapped his arms around me, kissing the top of my head. "You okay?" he murmured. I nodded into his chest. "Yeah, I think I'm finally okay." He smiled softly. "We'll build something better, something real, something ours." And I believed him. Because choosing happiness isn't about pretending things don't hurt. It's about refusing to let the wrong people decide what you deserve. As I drifted to sleep, I whispered to myself, the empty chairs didn't break me. They freed me.